Welcome again to Real Life Conversations. Asanteni for joining us. We are so glad that you're here, and we continue a conversation with the guest I had last week, Dr. Wangeci, and today we are going to talk about a different topic. This time we're going to talk about conflict in marriage. But before we delve into it, once again, I'd like her to greet you. Wasalamia tena. I know you introduced, but introduce yourself again, what you do, so that in case somebody did not see the last discussion, conversation, they can get to know you better.
Thank you, Pastor Janet. Always a pleasure to be here.
Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. My name is Dr. Wangeci Wachira. I am a pastor. I'm also a psychologist. So I do counseling and I preach.
Amen.
I'm a wife for 29 years. That sounds like
something.
A lifetime.
That is quite something.
And a mother of 3 adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asante. Thank you for agreeing to be here, and to our guest, Karibuni sana. I keep forgetting to introduce myself, Pastor Janet Kariuki Wahinya. I am your host, and I would just like to start by, let's just try and define what conflict is, so that we agree on what we are talking about. What is conflict?
Yeah. What is conflict? Conflict is a disagreement. But when we say conflict is disagreement, where does that leave us? So this morning we could not agree whether we have lunch together or not. So is that a conflict? We did not agree.
Disagreement. It depends on how we handled it. You know, if I banged the door out.
If you banged your door, the door on your way out, it means.
Yeah.
When does it become a conflict? Because, some of this, we throw words around.
Okay.
So when can we honestly say we have a conflict in our marriage?
It's just not a disagreement.
Yeah, I mean, the disagreements. We disagree almost on a daily basis.
Several times a day.
Yeah.
Okay. What makes it a conflict?
So what is the conflict then? And I think if you think about a conflict, two things will come up. We'll say it's a disagreement or disagreements. Maybe you're disagreeing on several things. That has been protracted, like it has taken a long time.
Okay.
And then we'll add something else that you've just added. Did I bang the door on my way out? So if you think about conflict, have two things in mind. It's a disagreement. It started as a disagreement. Every conflict will start at a point where me and you didn't agree about something. A husband and wife are not agreeing on this, whether a child should get a phone or not. Things like those. Is it, should we invest this money in this or that? Anything that we can disagree on is a disagreement. If it takes too long, becomes too protracted, then it's evolving to conflict.
Okay.
Another thing we add on to it is the door banging. You put emotion into it.
Okay.
Then it becomes, so you put anger, you put judgment into it. Once you have put those two, then you do not have a disagreement anymore. Now we are dealing with a conflict.
Okay.
So
not every small thing.
No, then we would be
on cocoa or coffee when that's not conflict.
Yeah, like you said, we can disagree several times a day, but there is no emotion in it. Nobody is angry. Nobody is feeling hurt. And by evening, we have both forgotten what it was about, and we moved on. Those are just disagreements. But if it takes long, then you'll find now it's evolving into a conflict. If you put emotion into it, you put anger, you put hurt, then you have a conflict. So do you see
somebody's angry. Okay. Yes.
And this has taken that long. So now you can see how we moved from just having a disagreement into actually having a conflict. Now we
never seen it. That's genius. I've never seen it that way.
Because then every single disagreement we have in our homes would become so big. And you can imagine, when it comes to conflict, there is no marriage that is spared. None. Talk to those who have been married for 50 years. They still disagreed this morning. Those who got married last year, they are not even a year, they still disagreed. But we cannot we should not even allow them to become protracted into conflict, because then that's why we are now needing to talk about how do we resolve these things.
Is it possible to deal with, as in not to have conflict?
No.
No, it's not. Okay.
If you did not have conflict, one of you is fake. Somebody is not being real. Someone is not being real, because two people with very different, thinking, independent minds, and you don't conflict. No. You should allow yourself to get into disagreements. And disagreement is good, because if we have disagreed, then we have agreed to disagree. So there was agreement that we disagree. Conflict is totally chaotic, because now nobody will even hear the other. We have brought in emotions. Initially we were just disagreeing. Now I am hurt. Now I am angry. Now I am jealous. Everything. So, and it's taking long. Do you wonder why the Bible says, do not let the sun go down on your anger? Don't keep it protracted. Don't keep it for too long. Yeah. Even if it started in the morning, don't end the day with it. So I think it's better to quarrel in the afternoons. So it's a short period. It's a short period to takosana, but by sunset we are supposed to put this thing down. But seriously, every couple that you can think of, they have conflicts. They have disagreements. They may escalate to conflicts, but hopefully we can check them before they become conflicts. Because by conflict, you see, we have introduced other things. How much time did we take to deal with it? In that time, how much emotion and have we invested? And most of it negative emotions then. So you see, and doing it becomes harder than just dealing with. Yeah, there's more energy. And so we've said every home is affected, every marriage. What are some of the things that people conflict about?
Many. Spending money.
Finances,
money. Raising children. How to raise children.
How do you raise children?
Do we discipline at this juncture? Achana na yo mtoto. Discipline.
I don't know if maybe it was me, but I don't remember in my early marriage, why am I saying early marriage? I think throughout my marriage, I don't remember a discussion, face to face with my husband. How are we going to discipline these people? I don't think so.
We had,
no, and maybe we should have. But I don't think we did.
Okay, neither have I really.
Exactly.
But there has been conflict.
So we deal with who has misbehaved, who has done this, and now I'm not disciplining anybody. My children are adults, but even when they were small, I ended up looking like the bad one, because I'm the one who was doing all the disciplining.
Okay.
And anyway, the one who was around them more. So I did a lot of disciplining, and therefore, but such things, we can conflict, but that's a third party we are talking about. Okay. Should I discipline my child this way or that way? How about just between us? What are the things that a husband and a wife are conflicting about? Money matters is a big one. Money matters is probably one of the biggest, because who is the earner, who is the spender?
Who's the decision maker on the spending?
I think every young couple I talk to will ask, so should we have joint accounts? Those questions that you really don't want to answer, because should it go south?
You'll be blamed.
We went to her, she told us. But even that question is being asked, should tell you that there's a trust issue. There's a trust issue. If I put my money into this and he puts his money into this, am I going to suffer in the process? Who is the earner? Who is the spender? Who earns how much? Who does how much, There are people who love big purchases, and so they'll go out of their way and do. And the other one has been trying to save, and now you have... Yeah, so finances are a big, big deal. Oh, finances. And of course, things like...
We can even who can come and live. Who of your relatives can come and live with us?
That should not even be happening. people live in hostels. But
I know when they're job hunting, who do we host, who don't we host?
But how do you decide who you can host and you don't even know them? You're going to be unfair to someone. Yeah. Actually, it is, do we host or do we not?
Do we not host, yes.
Yeah. And again, see, we are coming from very different backgrounds. If I may say so, I'm a last born. So you're not hosting any of my siblings. I am the last of them all. But if you're a firstborn, so everyone else follows you, will I be feeling as if my house is full of your people? And therefore I'm feeling suffocated because all of you are here?
Or now I go and look for my people to also come.
Yes, so should I go get my people to Sisi, and we have 2 camps in my house? You see? And it also still goes down to stuff like finances. So how many people are you bringing here? How are you helping them financially? Those are discussions that should be very candid. Things like infidelity in marriage should not even be happening. But does it happen? Yeah, to a very, very large extent. And that will cause conflict because someone is going to be feeling cheated on, somebody is going to be feeling devalued and all other, the entire range of emotions that goes with it. What else do people conflict about?
I know, how are they disappearing?
How about our own personal, like our own personalities?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if I am, I don't want to use psychological terms, but, we throw words around. So if I'm an introvert and you're the extrovert that is the life of the party and everything, and I am the introvert that loves to be on my own and I enjoy my own company, and so you think I am boring because I don't go out to the parties and I think you suck the air out of my life, So do you see a conflict brewing right there? And that is based on our personalities, who we are, or the background where we are coming from. We came from a home, and this is how we were doing things. And he came from a home, and of course, even in their home, this is how they used to do things. Then what? So do we do what your mother used to do, or what my mother used to do?
Or your family or familiar?
Yes, family of origin, and we are all influenced by where we came from. So which family do we go by? So we find, and even culture, especially in cross-culture, and Kenya is multicultural, so if you're coming from this culture and I'm coming from this other culture, we may meet here and decide we want to get married, but sometimes some of the things you do in your culture, to me, they will look completely unacceptable. Some of the things I'll do in my culture, they will look to my partner completely unacceptable. How do you deal with that? Conflict. Things like religion. No, not even religion. Religion is even far. By the time you get a Muslim and a Christian, one of them will quickly decide to shift. But even among what we call Christianity, even church, where do you go to church? This one is Catholic, the another one is Anglican, another one is Presbyterian. And so do we go to your church, my church?
Do we tithe? Do we not tithe?
Where do the children go? Where are they going to be baptized?
Exactly.
In your church, in my church? Do you see all that? I think everywhere you go, everywhere you turn in a marriage, there's potential for conflict.
Even meals. You like food in the morning. How can you eat food in the morning? One person is like, chai, morning we do tea, but me, I'm like, I eat.
And if I eat, then don't look down on me. So there's a lot of things that cause us to... Actually, you can't exhaust the reasons why people have conflicts. The same way, they started with just disagreeing whether we take tea in the morning or take food, and it escalates to a conflict. But I think what is sad is that we do a lot of things now we have a conflict, whatever it is, whether it's finances or children or who is living in or personalities, we have a conflict. We tend to do more of wrong things in trying to resolve conflict, like nagging. So I know now we have a problem, but now how do I resolve this? Nag about it. I was talking to a young girl who was just about to be married, but didn't get married. And I asked her, whatever went wrong? I mean, this thing seemed to have been going well. Oh, you see, the problem is he doesn't like to discuss things. So she is the kind that if you have a disagreement, we started with a disagreement, she wants until you have sat like we are sitting here past her, and then she states her case, and then you respond. Now that can quickly just become nagging. Oh, we haven't talked. And she told me, if he refuses to do that, I will not talk to him, and life will just stand still. So what if he refuses? How do you force an adult? Actually, that is what caused the breakup. She has, that tough stand until we discuss. And the man, on the other hand, is saying, man, she nags. If you just do one thing, you will never hear the end of it, So we think that by consistently nagging the person, we will nag them enough to now probably
submission
into
to
whatever it is, yeah. So sometimes that's a bad thing to do. It doesn't help. Other times we withdraw. So you're angry with someone, you have a conflict, it has escalated, now it's a conflict, so you withdraw. How is that helping us? Because you withdraw to your own corner and you keep, since we are now separating, then you'll find where I am in my own small corner, I'm just doing in my own anger, and you in your own small corner doing the same, but we are not coming together to talk. So withdrawing does not help. It just keeps on.
Is there a small window of withdrawing that is reasonable?
Only if you're trying to cool yourself down.
Okay.
Actually, it's acceptable. You see, like the way we say, even in a conflict, in a fight, walk away. Why are you walking away? Not because you're a coward. You're walking away because, let me step out of this situation now. Breathe in, breathe out, regroup. And then when I am feeling calmer, then I can come and talk. People do that. It's actually acceptable. When I say withdraw, it's like for a month, 2 months, 3 months, we do not even talk. Because we still have that pending conflict. And so what is happening to the conflict as we withdraw? Still festering. Now it's worse than it was 3 months ago when we went mute.
And you know how when you're festering, you remember everything else. So you unaichanganya. Sasa na ile siku na
Yes, now the one we had, and then we remember another one that still went unresolved, and then another one. And see, it's festering and it's becoming worse. At other times, we choose to now openly show anger and rage. And have you heard of people who break cups and plates and glasses because
releasing the feeling?
Yeah, now you're angry and you must show it. That doesn't help. So you see, there are many things that we do in trying to tell someone, I don't feel, heard, I don't feel like you accept me, But if we are not careful, we can go wrong very easily, and the situation just becomes harder. And of course, in marriage, what do? Women, umenikosea, all other rights that you think you have, I am withdrawing. You do not know how many men have told me in counseling that sex is a weapon. Now that's a horrible, horrible weapon to try and use. That can turn around and become such a horrible thing because what if the man decides, okay, let's go elsewhere. Let's try our luck elsewhere. Now you see, you had one conflict, now you have another one coming up. Just because we try to use a means, all this is manipulation. We are trying to manipulate someone into doing something we want, and that's not what we want. Now, I'm sure you're about to tell me our time is over before we even talk about...
We have more. We have not even been given the signal to wind. We still have some time. Yes.
Okay. So what should we do if we have, and I can imagine any person, Fasisi, you're married and I'm married. Mm-hmm. If you were to think right now, is there a conflict? Is there something that needs to be resolved? You would come up with something. Yes. Maybe it's not taken that long. Maybe we still don't have that much emotion invested in it. But you can't say, kwangu hakuna. Each one of us can come up with, I think this area needs to be looked into. What should we do? I think the first thing, and I find it interesting, first we should clarify, identify, know what it is that is the problem. Mm-hmm. Believe me, sit with couples and ask, so what is the problem? The problem, according to the husband, is totally different from the problem according to the wife. So what are we still trying to resolve if we don't know what it is? Do you understand? Yeah. Can we first of all then clarify?
Agree this is
yes, what is the problem? This. So then we start working on it. You will be shocked how many people are in a conflict and they're not even sure what they're conflicting over. They can't tell you this is the problem. And I don't know if you deal with couples even in church. Try asking them what the problem is. You'll get very, very diverse answers. One is thinking it's this, the other one is thinking it's this. So even if they were given 10 tools, 10 steps to resolving conflict, what will they be resolving? This one thinks they're resolving this. The other one thinks they're resolving a different thing. So clearly they're not resolving anything. Mm-hmm. So the first thing to do is, what are we conflicting about? What exactly are we not agreeing about? So it means you sit, dissect this problem until you know, okay, this is exactly where we have a problem. You can be given a broad answer like finances. That doesn't even mean a thing. You can be told, oh, she spends too much. It still doesn't mean a thing. She's not submissive.
He doesn't love.
Yes.
He doesn't love me.
What is it that they do? If you can come down to, she does this, and because of this, I feel
this way.
Yeah. And this, I think, is the problem. That now you're getting down to it. If one is spending too much, these are the things I think you spend on. You buy too many clothes or you buy too many shoes. You see, now we are coming down to how many pairs of shoes then do you have? I have 20, then don't buy for the next that long.
Yeah, you can do
yeah, now we can
action point.
Yes, but if we just say spend or finances, we will never get to a real problem for which now to look for a solution. So let's, first of all, know what is a problem. And then when there's a problem, remember we talked about conflict having two things, time, because it's taken too long, it's protracted, and emotions. There is nothing we will resolve if we don't acknowledge the emotions and the feelings that someone is expressing. I don't know if you've ever been angry with someone and you, out of the goodness of heart, try to tell them, look, you said this and I felt hurt. Sasa hiyo ni kitu ya kukukasirisha. Now you feel like you've just been abused twice over. You know, like, what do you even mean? So if you do that, now we had one conflict. Oh, guess what? Now there is a fight coming up. Why? Because we must. I mean, it's imperative that you acknowledge the feelings that your partner is expressing. Validate those feelings. You can't tell me, Sasa, well, but is that something to be angry about? No, it is something. If I'm angry, it is something to be angry about. If I'm unhappy, it is something to be unhappy about because I feel unhappy. Validate those feelings first. If you don't, do you see us going anywhere until you've acknowledged that my anger is legit? My heart feelings are legit. If you ask me now what about that can hurt you? You hurt even more. You know, you do it, you're rubbing salt onto that wound that was already feeling bad. So, and it's not just with spouses, by the way. Even with our children, even with friends. If somebody tells you this is how I feel, make sure you validate that.
How do I? Okay, by telling them
Yeah, just acknowledge.
yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry you feel that I hurt you. Yes. And there are men who will never say sorry in this life. But in whatever language, okay, I hear, I understand that you got hurt. I understand that you're angry, you know. But make sure you validate those feelings. If not, then we're not going anywhere. We won't go far. Mm-mm. We won't go anywhere until... No. And then there's also, you see, when people are in a conflict, sometimes it's very hard to separate the person and the problem. So we tend to treat the person as if they're the problem. But there's a person that, without the problem, is a person. Do you think it is possible to separate the person and the problem?
I'm willing to be taught.
This is what I mean. Let's take, and maybe this doesn't apply to church people, bless the Lord for the church people. But out there are husbands, their wives, their children who are stuck in something like alcohol. So if a husband is drinking, what is the problem? Is it him? Is it the habit? Because a lot of the times we address the person like he's a problem. You're like, it is the habit. We are trying to deal with the problem, not the person. Yes. Because if we do that, if we don't separate the two, then we treat the person badly.
Okay.
And of course, if you treat me badly, we are not solving anything.
Okay.
So take a case where a child is doing something. I mean, now, our children, so help us Lord, they're into all manner of substances. So is it possible to love the person as you deal with the habit and deal strictly with the habit without making them feel like they must be less human or it's degrading, it's dehumanizing? Can they keep their dignity even as we deal with a problem? So if a husband comes and he is drunk and...
That also applies to adultery.
Yes.
Separate.
You must separate. You must separate. And if you don't separate the person and the problem, you deal with the person as if he is also the problem, and you'll say, yes, he's the one causing it. No. Imagine you have to be able to separate. This is the habit that I don't like. This is what I am complaining about. Again, you see, clarifying on what the issue is. Once you can do that, then we can be able to, can we sit and say, this is the habit that I don't like. How can you and I work to remove it? How can you and I...
say it's Thomas. Thomas is not necessarily a bad person. Just we are dealing that Thomas, I mean the drunkenness in Thomas, the alcoholism in Thomas. No? Okay.
Maybe he's not even an addict, because so that we say, oh, go for treatment and things. Maybe he just drinks too much. So how can you and...
time which is supposed to be family time.
So how can we work with this? How can I help you help yourself? First of all, you have validated the person. And now we are dealing with the problem, the two of us. Does that make sense? Yes. So I can't sit on the judgment seat and accuse you all I want. You're like this, you do this, you come in late. What sort of husband are you? What sort of man are you? Now, I'm not even attacking the problem. Now it's the person. But if we could validate the person and say, this is what I don't think can work for me, let's work on it. And most of the time, by the way, whether it's drunkenness or things, a lot of people, by the time they sit down to try and resolve a conflict, they already know that that is a problem. So they'll be saying, maybe, at this point, if I'm not home by this point, just call me. If I'm not home at this hour, instead of getting angry, and maybe I got carried away with my boys, just give me a call. And when I see your call, then I'll know we agreed. When I see your call, I come. You have validated the person, but you're dealing with a problem. And to go with that thinking is this: can we keep our relationship at the fore in this way? As we resolve conflict, let's both be sure that we want this relationship to remain intact.
Okay.
Because if we attack each other and attack each other's character and everything while we are thinking we are resolving conflict, the next thing we'll do is separate them. You know, the things you said about me, you didn't even talk about the habit. Goodness, those things were about me. What kind of man, what kind of, you know, what kind of woman are you? The things you said about me were not about the habit that or the problem that we were solving. So even as we engage, we need to be clear we want this marriage to survive. Both of us are clear on that one. Yes. Why are we doing this? We want this marriage to survive. If we want it to survive, then let's deal with the problems, not the people. Because if you don't want the marriage to survive, don't bother trying to resolve conflict then.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So do you think we can do that?
Do you think, the audience, you can do that? I am a willing party.
Yes, yes.
Please keep your comments coming. Your questions, we'll try and address them in another forum. Yes.
And of course, if you're, as you're trying to resolve conflict, misunderstandings will still crop up. I mean, we could be sitting here saying we are trying to resolve, and then I say something, and you're thinking, huh? What did you just say? But a lot of people don't deal with things with immediacy, so that if I say something to you, if I say something about your beautiful necklace, why would you wear such a necklace? You do not respond and ask, is there something wrong with my necklace? Is there something you don't like about it? Is there, you know? You will wait for another 2 months. But even the day we sat, let's deal with misunderstandings immediately.
And if there are so many, we'll spend...
No. Do you know why they become so many?
Yeah.
See, tunazipile.
Okay.
Yeah, last week, but one last month. If we had a misunderstanding here, thank God we don't, and we sorted it right here, why would it come up next week?
Okay.
It shouldn't. Yeah, next week
so
it
if they
doesn't
happen
matter.
5 in the day, we solve all the 5 in the day.
Do you spend so much time with each other that all you ever do is find a mistake?
Mistakes with each other.
Hey. And we can't micromanage humans so that everything my husband does, he's under the microscope. You know, sometimes I think about my early years in marriage, the things that I would get angry about, the things that would make me feel like my world is crashing. I look back and I'm thinking, goodness, there was such
What are some of the things that used to really annoy you at this stage? Like, what was that?
Like, my husband used to drink then, them years, and I've never drank a day in my life. So, but even as I got married, he used to drink. And then, so he wants to go out to drink with the boys. Whether you want him to go or not, he will go, by the way. And sometimes I tell him, if you go, I'll cry. Do you think he stopped? He didn't. And then, of course, I'll be angry that he went. And then, you know.
But you said you'll cry and he still did not.
Yeah, so you don't love me. You know, such things. And then so much else, you know, he said something, even a comment. And I feel I must respond, you know. I must respond to that comment. Now I look back and I'm like, that a lot of it was unnecessary. How many comments can I now at my age with what I know ignore? A lot. That doesn't mean you allow someone to get away with things they shouldn't get away with. But an off comment that even him, by the time he's done saying it, or even your wife, by the time she's done saying it, he's thinking, wow, okay, that didn't go well. Must every single thing in marriage be taken to its conclusive end? Because if we take them all to a conclusive end, we're going to a very bad end. We should learn to trivialize what is trivial. And there are many trivial things in marriage. Many. By the way, lots of trivial things. That the food overcooked. So what? You're not going to have a stomachache? Eat. Let it pass. By the time your wife served you that food, she knew something was wrong. It's a bit late. There's nothing I can do. Why are you beating someone who's already down then? You know? There are so many things that, honestly, if you think about them, they're trivial. But we give them such a high premium. They must then be discussed. I wish we could just keep trivial things trivial. Every single one of them. And actually weigh. Weigh intentionally. Does this really require as much time as I'm giving it? Maybe not. If it's trivial, keep it trivial. That my husband comes home and removes his socks and leaves them there. One sock is there, another one is at that corner. How much time do you think I spend if I was to pick those two and move on to the next thing?
5 seconds, maybe.
Yes, but I can sweat it out every single day. He wears socks every day. He does. So I can sweat it out.
Socks every day, yeah.
Which man ever stopped because you made noise? That's what I'm saying. How about I decide, but you see, most people will say, oh, but then you're encouraging bad habits. No. Because I said it once, twice, and it didn't stop. And I stopped saying, he's not, he knows what he's doing.
And he's not a child. That it's your responsibility to discipline.
Yeah. Yeah. There are many things you can overlook. They don't have to escalate into problems and issues. We fight over things like I know I've had people fight over the toilet seat. Is it up? Is it down? When you lift it, put it down. Really? I mean, the world has way bigger issues than a toilet seat, whether it's up or down, where socks are. And most men don't have that, or just maybe because they feel someone will pick up after them. But if I picked your socks I think are the ones that are thrown in anywhere, if I should pick them up and move on with my life, then what? Let me spare the energy for...
It actually takes more energy, shouting about it.
Yeah, but let me save this for something more crucial, because other more important things will come up. Something important may come up, Pastor, and find me angry about socks. No, I think really, because marriage is long term. I mean, if you think about those vows that we take, of course, on the wedding day, we are not really thinking about it. Till death do us part, and none of us is ready to depart from this world. So let's keep trivial things trivial.
Wangeci, our time has gone, Daktari.
Again, I know.
Yes. Just, what is your parting shot on this?
I think I'll make my last statement the parting shot.
Yes, okay.
Just look at what is trivial in your marriage and keep it trivial. Don't give it too much weight. And you'll be surprised, honestly, how much you're going to offload. You will be. And I will be. I'm saying that because I need to do it too. I mean, all of us.
A lot of growth here.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's important.
Yeah.
Asante.
You're welcome.
A strong conclusion. That might solve a lot of conflict, but just keeping the trivial things trivial, and spare the energy for more weightier issues. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was our guest, Daktari Wangeci Wachira. I like the Wangeci Wachira. It's a very good rhyme. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the nuggets you have given us, and I know it has influenced me. Having even hearing it before, and some of them you had already said in the seminar we were talking about, and then hearing them again, we forget easily. So thank you. And I believe you as our guests have been blessed, But as I said, leave a comment, leave a question. We'll get to it, and then it will advise what we'll do in the future. Asante sana. This has been Real Life Conversation. Hope to see you another time sooner than the last gap we had in the last time. So thank you. God bless you. Keep watching. Keep looking out for the next episode. Asante sana.